If you're in need of one of the best plant-based pizzas you've ever had, regardless of whether you are plant-based or you are a meat eater, this video is for you today. I'm going to show you how to make a crispy, crunchy, chewy, delicious pizza crust that is super easy to make with stuff that you have in the pantry right now. But not only that, we are going to load this thing up with some of the most delicious flavor combinations you can absolutely imagine. I do want to warn you a little bit if you're going to make this along with me at home, because this is not just a throw together recipe. This is something that takes thought, and you do have to plan throughout the day to get this dish ready and on the table. And the reason for that, of course, is because we're doing dough, we're doing bread, we're doing pizza crust. So that takes time to get right, but it's definitely going to be worth it. So you're going to want to give yourself roughly about 5 hours. Now, this recipe, it doesn't take a super long time to put together. There's a lot of waiting, but you will need roughly about that 5 hours to make sure it turns out the way that you intend it to. There's also two things that I did in advance of filming this. One, I'm going to show you very shortly, and the other I'll show you later on in the video. And that was making our soy curls, which are going to go on our pizza. If you haven't had soy curls, they are one of my absolute favorite ingredients. They mimic the texture and the pull of chicken. And look, we didn't stop eating meat because we didn't like the taste of it, we didn't like the texture. Most of us stopped for the ethical reasons of it. So this is gonna allow you to have a really chewy, meaty bite on that pizza that you're absolutely gonna love. So I'm gonna show you how we made those, but I'm also gonna get into how we made the dough. So I'm gonna show you how we made those, but you might not have soy curls in your pantry. And if you don't, I really suggest you order them. You can easily get them off Amazon, but you can easily substitute these out for things like jackfruit or cauliflower, which are gonna go just as well with this pizza, both of which I've tried in the past and both of which turned out absolutely unbelievable. This recipe is my family's #1 pizza recipe, regardless of whether they eat meat or they are plant-based. And I've got a sneaking suspicion it's going to become yours too. So if you're following along at home and you find that you absolutely fall in love with this just like we have, make sure you subscribe to this channel or comment and let us know what you think so you don't miss out on any of the upcoming recipes that we're releasing, as well as if you do let us know that you love this pizza, well, we're going to show you our next favorite as well, which is just as delicious. Before we get into putting everything together, let's talk a little bit about what I did earlier today with the dough. We're going to get out our trusty KitchenAid mixer here. This is going to make it a lot easier, but you could certainly do it by hand if you don't have one of these. And what we've got laid out here is we've got 400 grams of strong bread flour and 100 grams of plain all-purpose flour. You can use 500 grams total of all-purpose flour if you don't have strong bread flour, but the reason we're blending them is because the bread flour provides strength while the plain flour reduces the overall protein content, which is helpful for the relatively short proofing time. We've also got 330 milliliters of your favorite beer or lager. Very important, it needs to be at room temperature. We've got 3.5 grams of instant dry yeast and 15 grams of fine sea salt. To get started, in a large mixing bowl, we're gonna add all of the flour together, as well as the yeast and the salt. We're going to mix this a little bit together before we pour all of the beer very slowly into the dry ingredients while we've got it on a slow mix speed with our dough hook attachment on. We're going to mix this for about 10 minutes and the dough should be soft and smooth. We're going to lift the dough up and check it for elasticity. If it rips easily, continue kneading it for a few more minutes to give the gluten more time to develop. Once everything's mixed together, we're going to transfer that into an oil-lined bowl. We're going to let it sit for about 30 minutes with a little bit of plastic wrap on top. Once you're happy with your dough, we're going to transfer it to a work surface and divide it into 3 equal portions. I put down some parchment paper with a little bit of oil on top, and underneath that I put a kitchen towel just because the stones sometimes can get a little bit cold and wreck the proofing. You want to make sure the tops of your balls are smooth, and then we're going to put a little bit of plastic wrap on top of these and let them sit to proof at room temperature for about 3 to 4 hours. And voila, that is your dough. All right, let's get into the rest of the recipe and get this pizza started right now. Let's start with the unsung hero of this dish, soy curls. If you've never worked with these before, let me tell you, this is definitely the best way to prepare them. Soy curls tend to carry a flavor, though, that's not exactly winning any taste tests. So the goal here is to rinse away that less than attractive taste and neutralize them. First, fill up a bowl with fresh water and let those soy curls soak for 10 to 15 minutes. Once they're rehydrated, it's time for some hands-on work. I'm using one of my trusty nut milk bags here. You could also use cheesecloth if you've got one on hand, but these nut milk bags, they are life-changing. I found them on Amazon and honestly, I'm in love. They work so well. Load the soy curls into the bag and give them a good squeeze to get all the liquid out. Notice the color of the liquid. It's an off yellow, and that's exactly what we're trying to get rid of. I usually hydrate the soy curls once, then soak and squeeze them an additional 2 times just to make sure they're as neutral as possible in flavor. On the final soak, though, I like to use a vegetable bouillon broth. It adds a layer of flavor that seeps into the curls, making them much more enjoyable later on. While the soy curls are having their spa day, now it's a great time to get your pan preheated so it's ready when you are. After the final squeeze of liquid, it's time to get these curls into the pan. Season them however you like, but here's what I'm using: garlic powder, onion powder, nutritional yeast, salt, and pepper. If you want to take it up a notch, add a few dashes of soy sauce for that umami kick. And don't forget the olive oil. A generous amount's okay. Fat equals flavor here, guys. And without it, soy curls are just rehydrated protein with no soul. Trust me, this step is crucial. Cook the soy curls until they're beautifully browned and slightly charred. They're now ready to be your secret weapon for the pizza or any other dish, really. Oh, and pro tip: soy curls freeze well, so don't worry if you prepped a little extra. These bags from Butler are pretty large depending on how many people you're feeding. Next up, the dough. After rising for about 4 to 5 hours under the plastic wrap, it's ready for a poke test. Press it gently, and if it springs back, it's good to go. Now, I'm not claiming to be a pizza expert here. There are plenty of other YouTube videos out there for that, but I'm going to show you how I do it. I'm stretching the dough out by hand, and I'm also going to cheat a little bit by rolling some of the other dough balls out. Yes, this will crush the air pockets in the dough, but letting it rise again helps bring some of that back. The reason I roll them out is quite practical, though. I'm going to be using our Uni pizza oven, and thin and inconsistent spots in the dough can lead it to ripping. And let me tell you, there is nothing worse than losing a pizza to the grates of your own oven. And especially if you're hungry. I've been there, I've done that, and I'm not doing it again. Now let's prepare the toppings. If your soy curls are prepped, you're already halfway there. For the sauce, I'm using Sweet Baby Ray's barbecue sauce, but feel free to check out my meatloaf video where we made our own Texas style barbecue sauce. It was absolutely delicious, but we used it all. So I'm using Sweet Baby Ray's, which is also absolutely delicious. For toppings, we've got vegan mozzarella, cilantro, red onion, pineapple, banana peppers, and green onion. Missing green pepper today, but if you've got it in your fridge, toss it on. It's a game changer and should be on this pizza. We'll also whip up a simple, delicious garlic aioli to drizzle over the finished pizza. The recipe is in the description, but it's pretty simple. It includes vegan mayonnaise, lemon juice, salt, pepper, and lots of garlic. 3 cloves in my case because more garlic equals more happiness. You're going to mix it well, whisk it, and pop it into a squeeze bottle for that Instagram worthy presentation. Now let's build this masterpiece. Preheat your oven until it's hotter than your favorite summer day. If you're using a home oven, crank it up to 500 to 550 degrees, which is usually the highest temperature for most ovens. Dust your hands and the surface with flour and stretch the dough one last time. And we're going to start by spreading a layer of barbecue sauce on top. Then we're going to follow that up with a modest sprinkle of vegan mozzarella. Remember, we are using this more as almost like a glue. It's not really the main event of the pizza. Then we're going to layer on the barbecue soy curls, banana peppers, red onion, and pineapple. Yes, pineapple. It belongs on pizza. End of discussion. Stop being silly. And also put your green pepper on if you've got it. We're not including all the ingredients here because some of them won't do well in the oven, so we're going to put them on a little bit later on. Slide the pizza into your pizza oven or your regular oven. If you're using a pizza oven, you need to keep an eye on it. It'll cook faster than you can say, "Where's my pizza cutter?" Turn it every 20 to 30 seconds for a really even bake. And when it's done, you'll have a golden brown, crispy crust with those perfect charred bubbles. Once out of the oven, drizzle that garlic aioli deliciously on top. Add fresh cilantro and green onions and admire your work. The crust is thin, it's crispy, it's chewy, just the way that it should be. The first bite, pure bliss. The tangy barbecue, soy curls, the sweet pineapple, the zingy banana peppers, and fresh herbs create a symphony of flavors that'll leave everyone begging for more. Give this recipe a try and let me know in the comments how it turns out. And if you know someone who'd love this, meat eater or not, please share it with them. And if you're craving more plant based pizza ideas, hit that subscribe button and check out our upcoming videos because we're definitely going to be making more of these. Or you can also check out the video coming up next, which is another one of our family favorites, and it just might become your next family favorite as well. Thanks for watching, and we'll see you over in the next video.